What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Frankie Bones, and in today's video, gonna hop back over into Yankee universe. Gonna be breaking down the Yankees-Dodgers series from this past weekend. Recording this here on Monday on an off day. Quickly talking about the Yankees overall 36-25, 6 games back of Tampa Bay in the AL East, and just about tied for 4th overall in the American League. Before we hop into this video, if you guys enjoy, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you are new to not miss out on any Yankees content coming in the future throughout the season. Without further ado, we will hop right into the series breakdown, starting with game number 1 on Friday. The Dodgers end up taking this game by way of 8-4. Hopping into it, Luis Severino jumped kind of right off the bat. And I don't know if he was tipping or what it was, but velo was down a little bit, so have to keep an eye on that. But they ding him up early for, I believe, 6. And in the first inning, which is always tough, going against a future, no doubt, Hall of Famer in Clayton Kershaw. He had a steady 7 innings. Not Sevy, steady. And kind of the last note on this, the Yankees sort of get the doors blown off a little bit. Josh Donaldson and Giancarlo both in the lineup. They bring the power. Josh Donaldson with 2 big shots. Giancarlo with a laser as well to give us that score of 8-4. Tommy Kahnle also activated. He came back and threw an inning as well. Looked pretty sharp. Moving on to game number 2, which was Saturday evening for us at 7. The Yankees end up taking this one 6-3. Jake Bauers, really the star in this game early on for the Yankees. 2 home run shots early on in the game. Garrett Cole on the bump. He pitches well. Exits after the 6th inning due to cramps. And, Judge obviously steals the show at the end. Him and Waldo both hit home runs. And obviously the talk of the town. Aaron Judge makes a phenomenal catch at the end of the game when it was still 5-3 at this point. He ends up breaking the right field wall. And he's just too good. He just broke the entire stadium. Absolutely unreal. But the Yankees end up taking this one 6-3. And a good way to bounce back, tie up the series as we head to the rubber match on Sunday. So moving on to game number 3, the Yankees do take this one by a score of 4-1. This game was an early standoff throughout. Domingo Germán pitched really well for the Yankees. In the 7th inning, ran into a little bit of trouble, gave up that solo shot to J.D. Martinez, but the bottom of the lineup gets it done for the Yankees. Higgy and Oswaldo both being able to contribute a run apiece before in the top of the 9th, Anthony Volpe, who has been struggling mightily, comes through, hits a big 2-run home run to extend the lead and help close out the Dodgers, giving the Yankees this 2-1 series win. Moving on to some of my key takeaways from this series. First thing of note, Josh Donaldson and Giancarlo, both being activated on Friday, are big pieces to be added back into the lineup. Still waiting to get back to 100% full strength, and some guys were sort of mismatching days, obviously, as the lineup continues to lengthen. Guys end up getting pushed down. The longer the lineup is, the harder it is to navigate for a pitcher. And I think this was a really important step for us to get these 2 guys back. Donaldson's defense was really good last year. It was sort of the bat that was the thing that had a lot of Yankees fans troubled about him. But starts off hot for us quick in his return. I know there were some changes he made in the offseason, so hopefully those continue to remain true, and he can continue to be a powerful bat in the middle of the lineup for the team. Giancarlo, we know what to expect from him. Thankfully, just snagged him for my fantasy squad. Super happy about that. And hopefully he just continues to be himself, because I love that man. Moving on to the second bullet, Garrett Cole, he has a really strong bounce-back performance after that small slide of starts where he was giving up 5 earned runs and the home runs. And this was against a really good lineup in the Dodgers. Lots of length throughout, lots of really difficult hitters throughout this lineup as well, whether it be Mookie Betts, whether it be Freddie Freeman, all the way down the lineup. I think he did a really good job. Yes, he did leave this game with some cramping issues. He threw 6 innings, only 80 pitches, 1 earned run, so a strong bounce back for him, and I think it's really important. We really need him at the top for us to solidify and anchor the starting rotation, and the other guys, which we'll talk about here again next, continue to step up and provide assistance for him. Next, we'll talk about Domingo Germán. He remains steady as a rotation piece as this rotation continues to deal with injuries, which we'll talk a little bit about here in our next segment, but Domingo just remains really steady. It seems like he is consistently keeping us in games, 1, 2 earned. His command has been really, really good of late. Aaron Boone talked about that after the game last night, but he continues to be a really important piece for this team, and once we're back and fully healthy, it's crazy to think that Domingo could be our 5th starter, because having the sort of starting pitching that on paper the Yankees have right now, 100% healthy obviously on paper, but it's incredible, and we haven't really had this amount of pitching depth in a long time, and that's something that is certainly something we're looking forward to get us over the hump and obviously get us to that championship. The last note that we'll talk about as a key takeaway, going 4-2 on this road trip was really important for us. Looking back at the Seattle series, really wish that we were able to get that 3rd game, but it happens. Again, we were able to take 2 of 3 against the Dodgers and Seattle, giving us that 4-2 record, which was important for us. Big, obviously, West Coast road trip. We now head home for a big homestand over the next 2 weeks. The 2 away series that we have at the Mets for 2, which obviously not super big. And we'll talk about the schedule a little bit more in depth with who's on deck. And then the other series is at the Red Sox, which is obviously a big one, but we have a lot of home series sprinkled in there. So it gives us a lot of momentum as we look forward at our next series coming up. Moving on to some injury news. Nestor Cortez, he will likely be headed to the IL, probably announced later today, or probably right when I put this video out. That tends to be how things go recently, but he's been dealing with some shoulder difficulties. In an interview with Meredith, he was talking about how it's been bothering him a little bit over the past handful of starts in relation to having difficulty recovering from his starts. Again, after you throw 100 pitches, your arm is always not going to feel good that next day, but he talked about it lingering a little bit into that 2nd, 3rd day, ultimately to where he said something after his most recent start. So he will not be on the bump on Tuesday, which is where I think he was initially scheduled to pitch tomorrow versus the White Sox, but we'll have to figure that out. Aaron Boone hoping that he will only miss 1 to 2 starts. We'll have to see sort of what that MRI imaging looks like when it comes back. Hopefully all is good, maybe just some slight inflammation. Words are tough right now, but hopefully just a handful of starts missed for him. Be able to build him back up and get him back into this rotation. Next guy, Harrison Bader. His MRI revealed a low-grade hamstring strain. Aaron Boone talked a little bit about it and said that he will be out, quote, a couple of weeks. And these hamstring issues and, strains, things like that, it's really just has me thinking, did the Yankees stretch? I mean, really hate to see that. Harrison Bader was really humming after he returned earlier in May, and he's just a really important piece for this team. We saw the impact that he had defensively, and overall he was just mashing. So he'll be down for a little bit. We'll have to see how the outfield sort of plays out in his absence over the next couple of weeks. But with it being a low grade, hopefully it is on the shorter end. than Giancarlo, who missed, I believe it was 7 weeks with his hamstring. But, a couple, who knows how many is a couple, a few, classic conversation. Moving on to our next injury note, Greg Allen. He ends up getting put on the 10-day IL with a right hip flexor strain. So just sort of furthers the question of what is this outfield rotation going to look like. I assume that Judge may play a little bit of center. They definitely, I don't think, want to utilize him in center field as much as they did last year. We're going to see an influx of Jake Bauers, who has been handling the bat pretty well, playing right field. We're going to have IKF in center field. Who knows, maybe even a little bit of Stanton in right field. As we're going to be home for the next 2 weeks, might see him once or twice, but who knows, maybe Oswaldo gets a shot. He's back up on the team in accordance with some of the moves and guys going down, so who knows, we'll definitely be seeing a fair amount of him as well. And finally, talking about our staple of the injury news segment, Carlos Rodon. So he threw a bullpen on Friday in LA, threw 30 pitches, felt well. Again, high intensity, full mix of pitches for him. So the next thing that we have for him on the agenda, it was announced yesterday he will be facing hitters on Wednesday, which is a big step. I know that he talked about being really excited to be able to have some live ABs against him, sort of see where his stuff stacks up. Obviously, it won't be a huge jump in terms of the amount of pitches he'll throw. Assume that he may throw like 3 innings of like a sim game or something like that. So we'll have to see exactly what the numbers shake out to be on Wednesday. So that'll be part of the Chicago White Sox series update, or recap rather. But just continuing to progress, and I have all my fingers crossed. I'm knocking on every piece of wood that I see. Everything's been incredibly positive after the cortisone shot, so just really excited to continue to hear the progress that he's making and hoping to have him back, within the next month or so, probably right around the All-Star break. And finally, we'll move on to our last segment, Who's on Deck, talking about the Yankees schedule coming up over the next few series. First thing, again, recording this on Monday, the Yankees have off today as they travel back from the West Coast. Starting on Tuesday, Yankees kick off a homestand with 3 games against the Chicago White Sox. Hate to say it, Patel, but this should be 3 in the win column for the Yankees. Would be a really good boost as well to keep us rolling on our current momentum that we have. After that, we'll host the Boston Red Sox in the Bronx for 3 games. Obviously, it would be incredibly exciting. Wish I'd be able to make it to one of these games this weekend, but unfortunately, schedule doesn't line up with coaching, so we'll have to see what these matchups looks like going forward later on in the summer. After that, Yankees have another off day on that Monday. They'll travel up to Queens for 2 against the Mets, so technically away games, but obviously just a short subway ride away. The Yankees then have an off day on Thursday before traveling up to Boston for 3 more. So great to be back at home. I think that a lot of these games are pretty winnable for the Yankees. Obviously, the Chicago White Sox underperforming a little bit here with their squad, so we'll love to take at least 2 from them, ideally 3. Boston, it's always going to be a tough matchup with them at home with a quick turnaround of home and away, so looking forward to hopefully taking at least 2 out of 3 in both. And the New York Mets, that's always going to be a tough, crazy atmosphere up at Citi Field. Mets have been sort of on and off this year. Sort of depends what pitching we're going to get from the Mets, but optimistically, I love a split there, and always such a great time to go to the Subway Series games. Hopefully looking to get to some in the near future. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below of what you thought of this West Coast swing now that we have ended it. 4-2 record heading back to the East Coast. Let me know what you think about the Dodgers series. Who are you excited to see coming back from injury hopefully soon? What do you think about the impact of Josh Donaldson, Giancarlo Stanton? Would love to hear about all that stuff down in the comment section below. But for now, that's going to do it for me, guys. This has been your boy Frankie Bones, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace out.